Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Real Sports Junkie of Florida Super Bowl edition. So glad you could be with us. Hope you folks all enjoyed the Super Bowl. I know I have to a certain extent. Before we begin, I just want to take this moment to let you know that I now have a Twitter account for this special show. My Twitter handle is at SportsJunkieFLA. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do it that way, as well as subscribe to my Real Sports Junkie of Florida YouTube channel. Big shout out to my friend Justin Tillinghast, who follow me on Twitter with the at TurboBU. He's a big Bucknell sports fan, so we really appreciate that. And he also subscribed to my YouTube channel, so thank you, Justin, for doing it, for following me on Twitter, as well as subscribing to my sports channel. All right, so let's get a quick recap of the Super Bowl. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe it was 23-20. And not to my surprise, or to anyone's surprise, but wide receiver Cooper Kupp received the MVP honors for the Los Angeles Rams. I thought he was a tremendous receiver all year round. But in my opinion, I thought that Aaron Donald should have gotten MVP honors as well. I think a lot of people would have thought that too, because he made a crucial fourth down stop that saved the Super Bowl for the Rams. If it hadn't been for Aaron Donald, I believe the Cincinnati Bengals probably would have won that game. It doesn't matter if you're a Rams fan or a Bengals fan, more a fan of neither one of them. It was a really good game. And I believe that Cooper Kupp's touchdown pass or Aaron Donald's fourth down stop could be candidates for the massage and spinal therapy of Winter Haven backbreaker plays of the game. So those are my takes. I'll be talking about some Super Bowl memories that I've had from Super Bowl years past, but I also want to talk about a historical moment that happened 28 years ago today in college basketball. And it involved an incident involving former Temple University coach John Chaney, the late great John Chaney, and then UMass head coach John Calipari, who's now the head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. Basically, in that game, University of Massachusetts defeated the Temple Owls by 1 point. And although the Minutemen actually won the game, John Calipari was still giving the officials some grief after the game. John Chaney kind of noticed that, and he took exception to that. And then he started bursting into the press conference room where John Calipari was doing his press conference and started making some verbal threats to him. I don't have the audio, I don't have the video to post live or on this YouTube video that I'm presenting now, but I'm going to play an audio clip from that, and I will try to get the video clip uploaded to my YouTube channel as soon as I can. So I'll make an effort to do that. But in the meantime, let's listen in on the audio account of what took place.
You send your kids out there pushing and shoving. The guys did a hell of a job. You had the best officiating you could ever get here. And for you to ride them, I want to be a part of that. I just got my ass blasted for giving them hell down in West Virginia. And here you get a hell of a job right here today. Good job. 3 class guys. And you pick them out here and single them out. You can't get that never knew the front of the guys. Shut up, guys. Shut up, you're the front of the guys. You remember that. When I see you, I'll kick your ass. I'll kick your ass. You got a good team, and you don't need that edge. That's why I was telling my kid to knock your kid in the mouth. Standing
unbelievable. Well, as a result, John Chaney got a 1-game suspension, and he publicly apologized to John Calipari and to the media for that post-game outburst. Now, why did I happen to mention that? Well, it just so happens that at that time I was working for a small software company in the Atlantic City, New Jersey area, where we supported work for the FAA Technical Center there. And a bunch of colleagues and myself, we formed this fantasy basketball league. We just call it the Fantasy Hoops League. And one of my colleagues, his fantasy team defeated my fantasy team earlier that week. And the following Monday, when I came into work, I got an email from Kevin Weidman, and no disrespect to him, and this was all in joke, of course, in jest. He just sent me the same email quote that John Chaney said, saying, "I'm going to kick your ass. You remember that." So, as one of the co-commissioners of the Fantasy Hoops League, I was responsible for publishing the scores to all of the Fantasy League members. So what I did was I published the scores, and in doing so, I published a blurb saying that the league was considering disciplinary action against Coach Kevin Chaney. I call him Coach Kevin Chaney for his post-game outburst against Coach John Bod Knight Bodiger of the Niners. And I put in the blurb that he threatened physical violence, saying that he was going to kick my ass or something like that. And in conclusion, I said, hefty fines and surcharges and/or a 1-game suspension may be levied by the commissioner's office. 3 or 4 weeks later, when they had Selection Sunday, it just so happened, to my surprise, that the brackets were set up such that, barring any upsets, Temple University would play Indiana University in the second round. And I thought, well, after that incident with John Chaney and made Bobby Knight look like a saint, and I thought, you're talking about two fiery coaches who are going to play whose teams are playing against each other. And I said I was going to watch that game. I'm going to be glued to the TV that day because I want to see how the coaches act towards one another. And I wanted to give my account of that contest to the folks at WIP Sports Talk Radio in Philadelphia. There was an afternoon radio show, and I called up to give my take on Bobby Knight versus John Chaney. And I was mentioning about John Chaney making that idle threat to John Calipari. And then they started cutting up on Bobby Knight for a couple of reasons. The first incident that they brought up about Bobby Knight was several months earlier when his son Patrick Knight, who was on the basketball team, the Indiana basketball team, turned the ball over, and his father, Bobby Knight, just went ballistic. This was the game against Notre Dame. And Bobby Knight calls a timeout, and in doing so, he pushes his son onto the bench and kicks him in the shin on national TV. And all the fans sitting behind the Indiana bench in particular were booing and jeering him like crazy. And then Bobby Knight just responded by shouting out F-bombs and all other kinds of 4-letter explicitives. That resulted in a 1-game suspension for Bobby Knight. And in response to that, he apologized most sincerely in public to his response to the fans jeering and booing. But he did not publicly apologize to his son for kicking him in the shin on national TV. Although he did mention, P.S., we've been working on Patrick's passing. That's a sharp contrast to what my friend Ryan Bettel said in one of his Facebook videos when he was talking about, he does motivational speaker. He's a middle school English teacher and does motivational videos. And he referenced a case where when he played high school basketball for his dad, Coach Jim Bettel, and he turned the ball over. I mean, Jim Bettel didn't go to that extreme. All he did was just as Ryan put it, just clapped his hands and said, "Get that out of your repertoire." Now, if Bobby Knight would have just done that, it would have been cool. But the other incident that the WIP radio hosts were referencing was his little senior night speech at Indiana University. And this is how it went.
When my time on earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want they bury me upside down and my critics can kiss my ass.
So that was what they were referencing to as far as, I mean, he didn't get fined or suspended for that. But in conclusion, right before the WIP radio hosts hung up on me, they said that Bobby Knight belonged in a room with padded walls. Really? So, and we're going to get to some Super Bowl memories that I wanted to share with you. This is some memories that I had from past Super Bowls. I guess the earliest one that I kind of want to mention was Super Bowl 25. I was pulling for the Buffalo Bills against the New York Giants, mainly because of Shane Conlon, who was a linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. He was a linebacker for Penn State. He played on that Penn State national championship team in the '86 season. And I believe there was another Buffalo Bills wide receiver by the name of Andre Reed, who actually grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And I remember my sister Sue telling me that in her first year of teaching in the Allentown School District, she taught at Deer Senior High School where Andre Reed attended. And she actually had Andre Reed in one of her study halls. And I thought, how cool is that? My sister actually got to have an NFL legend in her class. It was really cool. So I was kind of pulling for the Buffalo Bills all 4 years. The two of those years being that they were playing against the Dallas Cowboys, where a team that we Eagles fans, along with the Giants fans and the Washington fans, always despise. You root for your team or anyone that plays against the Cowboys. So when Scott Norwood was about to kick the game-winning field goal, I was on edge. I was thinking, come on, Norwood. Come on, Norwood. It was 20-19 in favor of the Giants. All Buffalo needed to do was kick that that field goal, and they would win the game. Norwood kicks the field goal. It goes wide right. So later on, at the same company I worked at in New Jersey, at the holiday party, one of my colleagues is a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, and our site manager had an award. We were giving out awards. They said the Kemet Ururu. That was the name of one of my colleagues, the big Buffalo Bills fan. The Kemet Ururu Memorial Kick the Bucket Award goes to Scott Norwood for that infamous shank. So every year when Buffalo would go into the Super Bowl and then it would come up short, Kemet would always be absent on the following Monday, the following day. Was obviously sulking. So one time, every year his office cube was littered with headlines saying, Giants crush the Bills, Redskins crush the Bills, the Dallas Cowboys sweep the Bills 2 in a row, or something like that. And he was in charge of a Super Bowl poll, which I had won, and he got a little upset with me, probably in jest. He just said to me, I can't believe my team just lost the big Super Bowl, and all you care about is your money. You're a jellybag. He's a good guy. He was a good guy. So that was one memory that I got. Another memory was, of course, Super Bowl 38. It wasn't so much the game itself, I think a lot of people were in conversation about the halftime performance by Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson with that infamous wardrobe malfunction. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, did you see that?" I just couldn't believe my eyes. Right on network TV. I mean, if it would have been on satellite TV, I think it wouldn't have been a big deal. But everybody was making a big deal of it. But I think the biggest Super Bowl memory, the biggest, or I should say, the worst Super Bowl memory I can remember was Super Bowl 39. It was my Eagles against the New England Patriots. And the Eagles had staged a comeback. They were losing, but they scored a touchdown with little time left in the fourth quarter. And they were down 3 points, 24-21. They had the ball. Donovan McNabb is fading back. He's about to throw a pass, and it gets intercepted by Rodney Harrison. Rodney Harrison intercepted the pass, and it was in that moment that I just sat in the playroom and sulked. Yes, I was relegated to the playroom. There was a TV in there because my wife doesn't like football, and she was watching Lifetime Movie Network in the living room. So as soon as I saw that interception, I just sat in the room and sulked for a good hour. And the playroom was right next to the laundry room. My wife comes by to do a load of wash, and in the process, she actually saw me sulking. And so she had the nerve to ask me, "Who won the Super Bowl?" To which I just replied, "I don't want to talk about it. Get away from me." Yeah, I was that upset. But I made up for that 3 years later at Super Bowl 42. While I was on a business trip, I actually celebrated my birthday out in Arizona on a business trip. And the Super Bowl was played on my birthday. And I thought it would be really sweet that if the Giants could pull the big upset and knock off the undefeated, untied New England Patriots off of their pedestal. So I go down to the Buffalo Wild Wings there, close to where I stayed, and I watched the game intently. And not only was I so happy that the Giants beat the Patriots, it was not just the Giants beating the Patriots and the Patriots finally getting a taste of their own medicine, but also to see Eli Manning lead the Giants to a Super Bowl victory and get MVP honors a year after his older brother Peyton had led the Indianapolis Colts to their Super Bowl win and getting MVP honors. That's the first and only time that we've seen two brothers, two members of the same family, playing in the NFL, and one of them earns an MVP and gets their team to a Super Bowl win, and then another family member, another family member, wins MVP honors the next year, as well as guiding his team to a Super Bowl victory. That was awesome. So, a couple of other ones. Super Bowl 46, a rematch of the Giants and the Patriots. Once again, the Giants prevailed, and it also featured a gentleman from my home state of Pennsylvania, a guy that went to a high school that my high school played against in football and still does. Gentleman's name is Henry Hinosky. He was a tight end for the Southern Columbia Tigers, went on to play for the University of Pittsburgh Panthers, and was a tight end for the New York Giants. He earned a Super Bowl ring that year for Super Bowl 46. And currently he is coaching high school ball at Shamokin Area High School, another team that my alma mater plays against. So there's another good memory there. And Super Bowl 51 was probably considered to be one of the best Super Bowls ever. in terms of general opinion. I would say that would be number 2. And I say that because New England was trailing the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 going into the fourth quarter. And things looked pretty grim. I thought, oh my goodness, the Falcons are going to win it. Falcons are going to win it. But Tom Brady pulls out his magic tricks, ties the game at 28, and sends it into overtime. And in the overtime period, hands the ball to James White, goes in the end zone, and you can hear the announcers going, he's in! And New England gets another Super Bowl win. But for me, that's number 2. Number 1, I bet you can never guess what my number 1 Super Bowl moment would be. That's right, the following year, Super Bowl 52. It was a rematch of the Eagles and the Patriots. And it was like very close. It was very close. I think the Philly special was what I consider to be the massage and spinal therapy of Winter Haven backbreaker play of that Super Bowl, where Trey Burton and I think it was, Trey Burton throws a pass to Nick Foles in the end zone, the quarterback at that time. And there were some really good plays. And then that Hail Mary by Tom Brady had me sweating bullets a little bit. And then when it felt incomplete, I was like, yes, there's going to be a parade on Broad Street. And of course, my granddaughter, who was 2 weeks old at that time, she was sleeping, so I had to be very careful. And I think I may have just run out of the house. I did run out of the house, I believe, and I was screaming a little bit. I can't remember. I was just too much excitement. But I think that was probably the most memorable Super Bowl ever, in my opinion. And I think all the Eagle fans will agree with me on that one. Of course, a couple of honorable mentions that happened afterwards. Super Bowl 54, where Kansas City defeated the 49ers. And that was the year that Patrick Mahomes was on one of my fantasy teams. And that fantasy team won the league championship. And then the following year, when Tom Brady transfers to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55, the Buccaneers played the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Bucs won that Super Bowl. And coincidentally, Tom Brady was on one of my fantasy teams, and that fantasy team won a league championship. So there were some pretty good memories that I wanted to share with you as far as Super Bowls in the past. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Once again, please feel free to offer your comments on my video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me on Twitter, Sports Junkie FLA. Until then, this is the real Sports Junkie of Florida, saying, in the words of former track and field coach Jim Taylor, it's a great day to get better. So long, take care, and stay safe.